Welcome back to the 715 podcast, everybody. Very special guest today, Mr. Coach Bobby Diaz is on. It's been a long time in the making to get him on the podcast. For about a year now, since I started the Pine podcast, we wanted to have Coach Diaz out here. Coach, I'm so happy you can finally get on.
It's great to see you guys. It's great to see you, Grant. Thank you for the opportunity. It's
Yeah.
been fun to talk.
Yeah, you can just get out in front of a couple cameras, talk, and have a nice conversation with a big mentor in my life right now. Coach Diaz is our defensive coordinator at Memorial and also a teacher there. So, Coach Diaz, why don't you give the rundown a little bit of just kind of what your day in and day out job at Memorial would be, let's say in the fall during football season.
Oh, it's busy. During the school day, I usually work with kids that need to work on some reading and writing skills and things like that, and I teach 2 English classes. At lunch, I have a lot of players in my room. We go over things for the week and what we're putting in, the scheme, so forth, talk about our opponent, watch film. That's been kind of a fun thing being at Memorial, my first year back coaching there, is that a lot of the players come in and we have food. We have a different menu almost every day, but the constant's peanut butter and jelly. Mm-hmm. We eat a lot of peanut butter and jelly, so it's good. That's that's pretty much it. And then we're out in the practice field, and how that goes. That's a grind. And then we get ready to play who we're going to play.
Yeah. He always touches up on peanut butter, and last night I opened up my jar of peanut butter and just finished the dang thing. I had 2 tablespoons. Coach Diaz says 2 tablespoons before you go to bed. Good source of protein that way. But what are your thoughts on what's going to happen this year for football season? It's just so up in the air right now. Kind of where do you think we're at with everything?
I don't know. It'd be like a roulette wheel in Vegas. I mean, you could just spin and see where the number lands, and hopefully it gets picked. I don't know, Grant. It's just a tough call right now. I get it. The pandemic is real, so I get the quarantine and stuff, and I'd hate to see us go into the season and lose it because one of us, and that's nobody's fault. It just could happen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then everybody's quarantined, and there you go. You're out 14 days, right away. So, I'm pushing for spring. I know that I have a cousin back in California. His son in California, in SoCal, they're going to be playing in January. Granted, they have weather and everything, but we can still get it done. I think it just takes effort and being positive about it. And, because what are we going to do about the guys down south? I mean, you have Dane County that's not going to be involved. In Milwaukee, public schools are probably not going to be any of those schools that way. And then and you were just mentioning Franklin in that area, they're hot spots. And so I just don't want to see football get cut short because of us making a hasty decision. That's just me.
Yeah, football is just a different sport in those regards that you don't get a lot of travel type football, especially up this way, whereas in baseball, and I was just thinking about this the other day, if we were able to move baseball to the summer, some kids would be able to play summer baseball, but nobody can play travel summer football up here in Wisconsin. It's just not a thing, and that high school football is really the only opportunity that kids get to get out and play football, where basketball you can get AAU, baseball you can travel, and so having the season canceled for football would be a huge deal because it's a big impact in building character also. And I think something that you do very well, Coach Diaz, is you build that character, that killer mindset that we call it, the African dog mindset, where to go out and attack things. And I've been very grateful to have Coach Diaz the last year, and now we'll have him hopefully this senior year, hopefully in the spring, like he said. But when did you realize? How long have you been coaching? First of all, let's just start there.
Oh my gosh, it goes back to 1981. My first coaching assignment is my alma mater. I got out of the military, and I went in and asked my head coach, and he says, "Yeah, sure, come on, you can be a freshman coach," and bumped me up to varsity during the varsity games, and that was South Torrance High School. I wasn't the greatest football player back then. I was a great team player. Played everywhere they wanted me to play. I was on all special teams and so forth. When you're only 5'6" now, I used to be 5'8". I'm shrinking now. But it was 1981, and then I went from there to Mirror Est High School, which is a classmate of mine. Her dad was the head coach there. Coached there for a while. Then next thing I'm at Wisconsin. Came to Wisconsin and started at Chippewa Falls, to be honest with you. So I've had a array of teams that I've went to coach at. Went there and it's been fun. A lot of great experience. A lot of great coaches I've coached under. You're well aware that I coached in Menominee. under Coach Labuda, which that's why he's going to be a Hall of Famer this next year. They're going to induct him. And great program. I was in Thorpe. I was at Regis, where we had a state title. I'm all over this, but it's been a great experience. Got a number of titles as far as Big River titles, Clover Belt titles. Our team in high school, we were the first team to make the playoffs in the history of the school in 1976. Don't laugh, I'm old. It's been a long career, and a lot of it's been in Wisconsin, which I enjoy, Wisconsin football.
Yeah.
I think you guys here could really compete out there, and they're starting to now with the rest of the, big Texas and Florida and California, where I'm from. And I see that it's happening now, and you just got to embrace it, that if you're going to compete and want to play at the next level and not just settle for all just, nothing against the smaller schools, but if you really have an ambition to play at the NFL level, then you're going to have big dreams, big ideas, and big work, I call it,
Yeah.
So, it's since 1981, that was my first time. And so...
That was in California, right?
In California. Okay. And then I went back, and I was a head coach in Linwood, Compton area.
Okay.
Yeah, and I used to pick up a kid that was, he was all confident. We had to bargain and barter for his conference. He was probably the MVP of the league, Wahi Trailer. Great linebacker. Kind of like reminds me of athletic. He was 6'3", 215, and he can run.
Yeah. And
agility-wise. And while he was I used to pick him every day in South Central and go to Linwood, Compton, right? And just right there, pick him up every day. And him and I still are in contact right now. And we talk, and he goes, "Coach, you saved my life." And I go, "Well, football saved me too." So it's just paying it forward, and giving it back to the guys. So that was interesting, Linwood. A lot of crazy things happened there in football. It was almost like the Tombstone, Wild West there. Our principal was murdered.
Oh my!
Second year I was there. Kids, it wasn't uncommon at Linwood that if somebody was firing gunshots as we got out of school, you're talking 4,000 kids.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and some great athletes. All the boys, they weren't the greatest students,
Yeah.
And sometimes you could question the character and things. Yeah, they lived a rough life, but they tried to get out. The thing that they're going to get out was sports. And one of my running backs, Lamar Myers, he scored 5 touchdowns in a game. Great running back, highly recruited. He ended up coming home. He was at a school, and I think in Missouri, I believe. I might have to fact check that. But he told me that he was with a friend, and his friend got shot. He went to help his friend, and he was shot in the back, and now he's paralyzed. We call him the Ghost. That was his nickname.
Because they couldn't catch him, or what?
There's other reasons why. Lamar had this chalky skin, and one of Zeph Lee, who played for the Raiders, he was on my staff. He nicknamed him that. I go, "Why you call him the Ghost?" He goes, "Well, look at he's all chalky." We used to tell, "Get some lotion on." And Lamar's a great kid, and so that was a great experience. I learned how to coach great athletes there. To be great athletes. They taught me a lot there. And that's where I learned football from a lot of coaches. But in that area, when you're working with, big athletes, big time athletes, and so
yeah. So could we back up a little further then? Because you said you came out of the Army and then coached right away. So when did you go into the Army, and then let's just say when. Can you talk a little bit about your process? Let's say after high school and then going into the Army, or what you did.
Yeah, I'm a retired sergeant, right, and a Ranger. Very proud of that. I grew up in inner city Wilmington. It's called, in the Port of Los Angeles, and we had a tough go as family. My family's pretty big out there. I could say there's probably 300 people I'm related to out there just in our family alone. They're all longshoremen. So growing up in that neighborhood, there was always a lot of bullying going on and things,
Yeah.
So you had to really it was survival mode a lot. My dad got sick early on, so I was like the head of the household, and Mom had to work jobs at night. So it was inner city, and then we moved several times, being in the projects twice, and then we got lucky, and my mom met somebody that loved all his kids, and it took us to a very affluent neighborhood near the beach.
Nice.
Where there wasn't the, all the pressures of being in inner city where you got everybody fighting for the same food and money and things. It was different. Everything that you see on TV, Boys in the Hood type stuff, it's that way there. And so we got lucky. I attribute any success to Joe Austin, who was my head coach. He was great, and all the teachers there at South Torrance. They took us under their wings. I was one of very few Mexicans in being Hispanic descent. Very few Mexicans that were in the school. So there wasn't the trials that I had in the inner city opposed to by the beach, but it was great. After football, we had some fun things. We went to the playoffs. We lost our first game, but we did a good job. We got the team catapulted to where it needed to go for the future. Yeah. In fact, they won a championship this year, South Torrance. Nice. CIF, and they played in the final game for the state title, but they lost that. But great, and interesting enough, some of the kids that were on the team, and the dad that stood up for me in family night, his grandson was on the team, and he was a big time player, so it was kind of cool. Yeah. But I got sidetracked there. So right after high school, I floundered a little bit. Kind of wanted to go to college. Couldn't really afford it. I thought, I didn't understand the grants and stuff, that were there, and so I got in a little bit of trouble. Not a little bit of trouble. It was a lot of trouble. So I was in this day, everybody knows it. I was sitting in a jail cell waiting to see what was gonna happen to me. We were kind of crazy kids by the beach, and we had a motorcycle that somebody had sold us that was from the docks. It was not. It was a stolen motorcycle, to be honest with you, right? So the detective comes in, and I had been talking to recruiters. I was wanting to go in to the military. I figured, hey, what? I need to do something. I need to get out of this rut. And so the next thing I know, the detective comes in and sitting there waiting. In fact, I didn't even get caught with a motorcycle. It was my buddy. He ratted us all out. But that's good. I'm glad he did, because I wouldn't be sitting here right now. Yeah. So the next thing I know, he comes in and what do you want to do? You want to go this way? You want to go that way? And that way was with the recruiter. Next thing you know, within a week's time, I was on a plane, or actually I was giving my right hand up and saying the oath, and then I was on a plane to Dallas-Fort Worth, from Dallas-Fort Worth on a puddle jumper to the Ozarks, and I was at Fort Leonard Wood. And the jump school, AIT, and then I went to the Ranger Battalion that winter, that Christmas, after 77, 78.
That's a quick turnaround.
Yeah, but I'm so happy. Yeah. There's so many benefits of being a veteran, and the things that I did there were great. The Ranger Battalion was, believe it or not, you guys do a lot of my mentality, a lot of my attitudes with you guys it comes from the Ranger Battalion more so than even football. Mm-hmm. People say that football's got this fraternity and so forth is phenomenal, and I believe it. But being in a special unit, like the Ranger Battalion, where your life depends on your buddy and the other 11 guys, and it's like a football team's 11, and you have 11, 12 guys on a reinforced infantry squad. That's where you know who you guys are. If you're not going to run, you're going to sit there and wait for your buddy. So it was a great experience.
Yeah, that is. That's cool. And then Coach Diaz has brought up a couple times little stories, but I've never really got to hear in depth of those kinds of stories. So that was really cool for me to hear. So then after you got out of the Rangers, how long were you in the Rangers then?
I was just over 3 years, actually. Okay. Over 3 years. I was injured in a parachute jump. Oh. Okay, an Abrams DZ, and it was a combat jump, a simulated combat jump. It was right before we were going to go to Panama. And I got hung up to a Chinook helicopter, CH-47 they call it. It's like the ones with the twin blades, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. They're long. Well, it was a night jump, 1,200 foot, full combat load, including ammo and everything. We were really going out. We were going to do a lot of live fires and that, and we were going to hump to where we needed to go. And at the time, I was in a weapons squad, which was 60 machine gun. But we all had to carry mortar rounds. We all had, we had bandoliers of ammo. And so we jumped that night, and what happened, there was a hesitation in the stick. And a stick is you have a number of guys jumping. I think our squad was jumping. There was 2 squads actually jumping out of that one chopper, and they were coming out. And it was a hesitation, and my feed pack tray has this 18-foot static line that pulls your chute out. Well, it got wrapped around my leg. So, and I jumped as I walked off, because you usually walk off out of a chopper. The other ones, you just fly out.
Yeah.
In this case, I just walked off, and I got hung up. And next thing I know, my leg is up behind my head. I'm hanging there at 1,200 feet, seeing twin blades, red lights. So into that night, so, and I'm just like, okay. The command or the signal for I'm okay is hand here, hand in reserve, and then get ready to pull. So I started to do that, but I looked at my chute, and I looked up, and oh my gosh, my suspension lines are all like melted together. Okay, and my chute was kind of like semi-deployed, and it was over my reserve, and I just go, no, I can't do that. I just pulled my hands down and just laid there.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, I had to be landed, and I don't remember after that. I was out. I was
really
concussed, they said, for days after that, and fractured both my hips, my L5, and my body hasn't been the same since. Hence, I'm disabled. I'm at 80% now. I'm probably going to be 100 by the time it's all done and said. But I ended up being becoming a sergeant in the deal afterwards. So I kept humping until my body couldn't take it anymore, because the rigor of being a U.S. Army Ranger is there's nothing like it. I mean, SF, I mean, it's pretty trying mentally and physically. So once I was injured, it was just a matter of time that I was going to be able to continue. And it's really sad, because it's almost like these great units. It's like once you become that casualty, so to speak, you're just like, okay, a dead man walking. You're on a lily pad now, and it's waiting to get to the next unit. And so then after that, they sent me to on my dream sheet, they call it. They were going to send me to. I wanted to go to Hawaii. Well, they sent me the opposite. I went to Alaska. So they sent me for less than 12 months or so for that deployment, and I went there, and it was great. I loved Alaska, Fort Wainwright. Yeah, and I still jumped. So I ended like 52 jumps, majority of them at night. And
why do they do them at night? So you can.
The enemy can't see you.
Yeah, okay. That's what I was figuring.
Most combat jumps are 1,200 to 1,000 feet, maybe 800 in some cases, depending on how you're coming in.
Dang.
Yeah, and mass tacticals. There's times we'd have the whole battalion, which is 500, jumping with C-130s or 141s. They do it. There's a different aircraft they use now, but oh my gosh, I wouldn't trade it for the world. It was just the best time ever.
Yeah.
We used to play some games, Grant, that you would love, that I'd love to have us play. And we'd play capture the flag, but we'd be dragging guys through the woods. We'd play with these big old balls, and we'd have 2 teams, 2 squads on each side, just pushing them over, and guys would get ran over. Yeah. We played American ball, they called it. It's a form of rugby where you have 2 volleyballs going at once, and some guys in the end zones on both ends, and you're just tackle the guy. There's names that we call, other names that we use for that, but everybody would be tackling the one guy, and you just give up the ball and try to throw it. And that's what we do for PE. Yeah. Or, a 5-mile run, or get up early and full combat load with weapons, and not so much the ammo, but we'd walk for 15 miles, forced march, before breakfast. Wow. I mean, anything we did was just, okay, get up. If we were on alert, we'd get up, boom, we're gone. Next thing you know, we're on choppers or birds, and we're flying somewhere, dropping in, doing a mission, and coming out. That's
pretty cool.
We never spent more than a month, ever months in the field. It was always weeks at a time. And if we did go somewhere, we were staying there for a while. In South America, I spent a lot of time there.
So how many different places did you get to travel to? Would you say?
Oh, gosh. All over the country, first off. To Europe and to South America. And then we were in the air during Golden Claw with the Iran crisis. We were security. Our group was security. And then the chopper went down. That was it.
Dang.
You guys, if you're familiar with the history of that.
A little bit.
Yeah, loosely.
Yeah.
Well, that goes way back. You guys weren't even around. I don't think you even thought of it probably then.
No, probably
But
not.
yeah, it was. My success I owe to the United States Army, U.S. Army Rangers. Period. They take care of me well. They paid for my education. In fact, they through tax dollars and all, obviously, but they're paying for my son's education. So, and my children.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty grateful, and I get a nice sum of money each month. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That's why I'm able to have hamburger dinners or lunches for everybody. It's because I just want to get back
Yeah.
for what I received so humbly.
Yeah.
So how did you transition and come to Wisconsin in general? That's my biggest question.
After I was out, I suffered from PTSD pretty hard, and so I had to spend time getting myself together in the late '80s. And I said, it's time to make a change. And honestly, as a kid, I remember this. I was watching Wisconsin play USC in the Rose Bowl way back then, and I saw that W, and it reminded me of my hometown, Wilmington, California. And I said, well, I want to go there. And so I happened to meet a girl, and which I didn't marry. I married somebody else, Katie, which loved my life.
Yeah.
And I flew back to Wisconsin. It was after the last, I would say, a treatment facility for PTSD through the VA, right? I had to go in there and take care of business. And after that, I said, you know what, I'm done. I'm done with dealing with this. I'm going to move forward.
Yeah.
And I left to Wisconsin. I dated this girl for a while, and we didn't end up making it. And started the process of going back to school. And the VA paid for it, and that's why I met Katie. I met her in abnormal psychology of all places, right? So we were, then I became, I was always coaching, so I wanted to be a teacher so that I could coach.
Yeah.
And now I like teaching a lot. I always do. I teach to coach.
Yeah.
That's just me.
Yeah.
But that's how it worked. And I got to Wisconsin. I made the mistake in the title game, and when Regis was at the state title, and we were the night before, and mentioning how I got here, and forgot to mention my wife. So Katie, I mention you now. You're the reason why I'm successful. So yeah, it's been a tough journey, but my saving grace has always been being a part of football, always, and being in the classroom.
Yeah.
And you see me in the classroom, Grant.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Trying to make it fun.
Yeah, I don't have Coach Diaz as a teacher, but I do see him in the halls every once in a while, and he does have like one of the nicer classrooms just to kind of go in, and it's nice and open, and you can see everybody in there, and it's pretty inviting atmosphere, I would say. So it's not like a big like math class where you got to go in and just kind of sit through a lecture or anything. He engages with his students and makes sure that it's a good time, which high school should be that way. So yeah. Coach Diaz, what would you say is one thing that you're most excited for coming up on football season? Or you could do a couple things, because I know one thing might be a little tough.
That's football season.
Yeah.
There's nothing like the grass being cut, in the fall, and that smell of green grass.
Yeah.
I grew up with that. And now we have turf fields, but green grass cut in the morning. Friday night lights. It's the only sport on campus that you have a homecoming. Mm-hmm. And you can have 3,000 to 5,000 people there at a game, and they're going. Yeah. Kids are going crazy, and they're cheering you on. And our memorials student body's unreal. They have that one section that they're going hog wild. Yeah. And so just it's football. Yeah. I mean, you have a lot of other variables around there that you can say that are good things, but the fact that it's football. Yeah. There's nothing. The only thing I can say that's comparison as far as the camaraderie and the closeness and the things that you sacrifice, it would be my military experience. The only thing is you don't have weapons. Yeah. And you're trying to beat up on the other guy but not kill him. I mean, in the heat of battle it's different. I mean, you're 5 inches away from a guy and he wants to smash you, and there's nothing. Yeah. And then the whistle blows, and then you go back to to the next play. So it's football. Yeah. How about you?
I would say the fact that it's just football season, and it's like you said, it's just different. And I play 3 sports, so I do get to experience on a little toned down levels, the winter carnivals at basketball games, or the just spring, especially North versus Memorial baseball games. Those get pretty big. But football is my favorite sport, and so to be able to go out there and just play with my brothers, and it'll be my senior year too, which I think is kind of a big deal, and just kind of it'll be like the apex of my career at Memorial, and just trying to go out on a high note and trying to work as hard as I can right now to make sure that it comes a little bit easier, and everything will be set down and ready when season finally comes. So the 3 years that I put into time and trying to build for the senior year, and then it'll finally be here, I think is kind of the big thing for me. So
yeah, that's one of the reasons why I like the idea of going in the spring, so that we have a fighting chance.
Yeah.
Right now, there's too many unknowns. And then unless you've experienced COVID in your house and understand the quarantine process, it's and not to to perseverate on that, but the bottom line is it's taking a risk.
Yeah.
Cost risk. Cost benefit, I guess. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the guys, because I've made relationships. I was a Menominee, which is the enemy now, but they're great kids over there too, and they respect you guys.
Yeah.
I think you guys, if anything, I brought to you this year is to respect your opponent.
Yeah.
Maybe not on Friday night in the rectangle, as I call it, but once you're in there, then it's about winning the game.
Yeah.
But it's about respecting each other and everything that encompasses football. There's, I think it was funny. I remember Schwabi last year, and I was joking with him, and he's picking up the player while the guy's running. He goes, "Well, coach, I go, hey, I get it, buddy. I'm just busting your tail just so we could have some fun with it." And he goes, "But don't ever do that again." Those are fun things that we were able to do, and then I know you love the fly drill, those things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't love the fly drill. I wouldn't want to be running, but it was a great experience being on campus, coming off. Out of my classroom into the practice field, which that's arduous in its own moment, right? It's like practice again, but then Friday night we're coming home, win or lose, it's with kids that I see every day, and I whether we win or lose, I don't spend a lot of time relishing in either one of those. It's like, okay, I'm not going to spend. We got to move forward. We got another game, and I hope I did a good job for you guys there, trying to get you prepared. I'm a stickler with stats. You're well aware of that. Send that out to you. It's like a rabbit, That's why they put snares and where they go, right? Because they're a creature of habit. Well, offensive coordinators the same way. Everybody has a characteristic or a little subtlety about them that you can pick it up. How they move, and that's what's the fun part about football is that it's 11 guys.
Yeah.
Going after another 11 guys, and then your entourage on the sideline cheering you on. It's just. And it's not always fun,
No.
There's a lot of emotion that goes along with it.
Yeah.
But there's nothing like it.
Yeah.
I mean, you get, basketball. Yeah, the crowd's pumped, you're pumped, but you're not going to go out there and knock your guy down.
Yeah.
If you do, it's a foul, flagrant 2, and you're out, right?
Yep.
So in football, you can go out there as long as you're not dirty. I don't believe in being dirty, but hey, there's a fine line to knocking somebody's block off, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
So that's the one thing that I love about that sport, and then because it's a long training period, so and you put this whole training period in, and you come to that point where it's just boom.
Yeah, it's a delayed gratification sport. I forgot who came, but I think a retired center from the NFL came and talked to us a couple of years ago, and he said football's so great because of that delayed gratification, where you might play one game, but you have 5 days to try to build up and prepare. And so whether win or lose, you can see how well you prepared depending on that outcome and that delayed gratification. And honestly, it can be 12 months before, because if you don't put time in the weight room to try to build yourself up and another person does, it's going to be hard to try to make that up in those 5 days or whatever from when you have to play them and your next game. So I think in compared to other sports too, that the fact that it takes so long to prep for one team, and because you could have where in other sports, there's basketball where they're running their offense or whatever, or a pitcher throws, and I just use those two because those are the ones that I play. Pitcher throws a specific way on a specific count or whatever. You play much more frequently in those sports, and so it's a lot less intense and a lot less in depth than what football would be. So I think that's another reason why I love it. And Coach Diaz brought it up where he'll print out stats on if they're on the right hash and they're in this formation, this is most likely what they're going to run. And then we watch film and it is what they're going to run. And if you can bring that into game day, that's very important. But another thing with this whole COVID thing is we were supposed to have contact days this week actually, and those ended up getting canceled because of we couldn't even hand the ball off, or I think what was it, groups of 10, and you just can't practice in groups of 10 because you got 11 players that play in the field. So
and 11 plus because you have subs that come in. I give speaking of that, I give Coach Sins a lot of credit for having the courage to make that decision.
Yeah,
it says and speaks volumes of his leadership because we have an older staff. We really do, and we could be effective. But now they're saying that other people can get it too. Younger people can get it as well. Maybe not to the point of where you get hospitalized and so forth, but there's always that risk. So he just said, "Hey, I'm going to make the decision. We'll meet other ways, which is good. We'll be more cognitive, learning. And I think you got to give him a lot of credit because that's a hard decision to make. Some other schools are doing it. I just don't understand how you get to work. It's such a close proximity, when you work with an athlete. And I'll be next to Grant out there and, hey, yo, come here, and I have my arm around him. Or, there's a lot of, affirmations that, hey, get the, that didn't work out well. Hey, let's go get it. And, for him to make that decision, I think it was awesome. I wish WIA would make that decision and just tell us what we're going to do so we know where to go right now. Not knowing where to go. It doesn't fit well with me personally because I want to know where I'm at, but wherever it lands, it's going to be good. I look forward to defense this year. We have a year learning already, and they know the expectation. I'm a players coach / taskmaster / I'm going to get on you, but I won't leave you. I pride myself in that, and I've learned that from some great coaches, from Belichick to Vince Lombardi, all of them. They never leave their players hanging. So from tier 4 to tier 1, you always got to give somebody some love. It's like, hey, you know what? I know I got on your butt. Let's get it now. Okay, coach, I needed that, right? And it's like, hey, but you always got to leave them with something in love, and affirmation is a good thing. It's a positive thing. I hope that you're seeing that from me. I mean, practice, that's the tough part, but we like to use that. I like to use that as the chalkboard. And we correct a lot of things in that process, which I think might be new. Some of the things we're doing are, the schemes that we're going to do this year, we're adding into. We've already had it, but we're looking at different ways to present our product out there. And I think that the more learning you can do, and that you can have the kids, that your athletes work, the more, how would I say, they're going to be more involved. Okay, learning, you're always involved. Whether you use that a lot, and we're always learning a new blitz or learn a new movement. You might use it one time. And not to pick up I love EVG very much. We go ahead, EVG, this is right for you. And next thing you know, he's like chasing. My favorite saying, chasing the Rapala, right? The little jig down, because he's not going for the real bait. He's going for the fake bait, right? and what did you do? Oh, my bad, coach. My bad. But I love him to death. But then, after that, he get it out of his system, and we'd go. I read up on a lot of coaches, defensive coaches, and Bill Belichick, like him or not, is one of the ones that I really follow. And, the one thing he says is, you got to do your job. You got to be, you can't be selfish. And how I started to think about this as selfish. What do you mean selfish? On defense? And what he means by that is doing your job. If you don't do your job and you freelance, then you're leaving your buddy out to hang. And I really believe in the buddy system, and I share that with you guys, that you got to, there's tandems that work. There's 3 tiers, boom, and the linebackers work with the D line,
Yep.
and linebackers work with the DBs, and they're all coordinating together. So if I'm selfish and trying to freelance and not covering my gap, which is very linear when you look at it, then you're going to put your team in jeopardy of, first down, what have you, score. But I got to tell you, I'm so impressed. I've coached defense at championship level and been around some great defensive coaches. And what we did last year as a group collectively, 17 points on average in conference. We put some scares in some people in the Big Rivers with that alone. And overall, and it was because we had those big games at the end of the season and one early on with those exceptional athletes from Central.
Yeah.
We 21 points. And Bill Belichick, getting back to him, he expects that as his defense. That's one of their goals, to keep
21.
No, 17.
Oh, 17.
Yeah. So overall it was less than overall I think it was 21 and then 17. So
okay.
But per game, and we did a lot of those things. I'm going to up the ante a little bit. We have some different goals, but what'd you think of that? Did you like the fact that we had to keep the score low? Was it different for you?
Yeah. It was a little different. We ran a little different defensive concept last year than we did my sophomore year, which was fun to see because we moved a lot more. And we were doing all these complex blitzes and stuff like that. But I think that really kept the other team on their heels because a lot of high school, especially offensive linemen, aren't going to understand, that if their guy leaves, they think that they're just kind of free. And then all of a sudden you got bowling ball to come down the middle. And he's got almost a free roll to the quarterback. So I think mixing it up, and that's what we did a lot of last year, I would say, and then playing fast too. You mentioned the fly drill, which is a drill where we just go on our on air 11 on 0, and we call in a blitz or a formation, and we run that as fast as we can, make sure we're all sound, and then we do an up down and run and pursue the ball. And I think that drill is really important into making sure we can play fast and then making sure we can pursue the ball and they can't run down the field. So
that's pretty much what we do, because if you look at it, and you mentioned the African dog, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and I like that animal. I mean, out of all the animals in the savannah, that one, you could have 30 of those guys, right? And they're chasing the animal down that they need. But one will chase with the other one's leg, and then he'll drop back, and another one will chase. And they work together and coordinate, and then they get their feast, right? Mm-hmm. That's what I want to see our guys. And if I could take, there might be maybe 200 pieces of film, 30, 10, 15 second segments of film that show us getting there. And a lot of times we made tackles as a group.
Yeah.
And if they squirmed out of it, we got some of our opponents.
Yeah.
We tattooed them pretty good.
Yeah.
Because of the fly. And I could see the angles. And the fly works, it's geometry. And I'm not very good at math, but I know it's angles. Yeah. Instead of chasing as the old school, you chase some kid and everybody's knocking him down and coaches are screaming, let him go. Well, we don't have to do that. We just go to an area.
Yeah.
So if you go 5 yards behind, it's where the sweep or the screen pass will be. And if you go up the field a little bit, it's just these angles. And even the lineman got to get there.
Yep.
And we go, and then we have a breakdown, and hoorah-rah, and then we go back and we do it again. Mm-hmm. And there's 7 stations. Then we cut it down to 5. This year I'm going to do something else. I call it cowboy. You're going to have fun with this. Well, I throw a football. That's where you go. Once the ball's gone, you got to find the ball. You get down, and there's your angle. And it'll be near the landmarks that we go. So that's kind of fun.
Yeah, that is.
I believe in a lot of also, I think something is a lot of scouting. Bill Belichick, again. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, you've been in the conference for so long working with a lot of different teams, and I'm guessing Coach Labuda doesn't change from when you were there a whole lot. So how do you think being in the conference for a while, at Chippewa, at Menominee, has helped kind of build this defense that you think can attack their things that they've been running for the last 15 or so years?
Think about it. When you hunt, sit in a deer stand, right? And you find the right place you want to be based on your scouting, right?
Yeah.
Trail, and droppings, all that stuff. Rut. How they rubbed. I don't hunt. I hunt.
Yeah.
In California, they hunt people. By the way, that's a joke that we have back there. It's like, I didn't grow up with hunting, but again, it's just like you got to know where your guys are going, where they're at, what the opponent's doing, and I'm a firm believer in that. Is that you got to know whether hey, and the more scouting that you do, and again, getting back to Bill Belichick, I've been reading a lot on him, and everything is about understanding your opponent, understanding yourself. Where is my strength and what are my limitations? What do I need to get better at?
Yeah.
Okay, and I believe in that as a coach, and I share this with you. I think I made a mistake last year because probably didn't give you guys enough. Like, okay, can they do them both? And we were attacking, so a lot of times we had to go in man. Mm-hmm. Well, this year, maybe we can get into some zone so that we can rest a little bit because constantly running and man, it's a different deal. So I think I made a mistake, and I probably should have had more confidence in you guys, but I didn't know you all that well. Yeah. And maybe we could have stepped in a little bit more and not gotten thrown over the top at critical situations. It was only one play, and it wasn't a long one. It was just a boom, and sometimes we were just gassed. Yeah. There was times that we were out in the field a long time, and it's just the way it was. That's football. No blame on anybody. It just happens, right? And you still got to buck up. But we did some great things. Yeah. The one thing I pride myself is getting whoever's available, the defensive players on the bench, and I listen to you guys. Mm-hmm. Some coaches don't. You guys tell me what's going on. They know they're in the battle. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They know what this guy's in front of him is trying to do, and he's holding. Well, don't let him hold you. Not to be sarcastic or anything, but it's like, hey, don't let him hold you. But hey, they're doing this, coach. I can do this. Well, okay, cool. Then do it. Yeah. Just don't get burnt. Mm-hmm. And guess what? It usually works out. A lot of the times when we come in at halftime, I'll listen to you guys. Yep. You guys tell me what do you think will work and why. I'll problem solve it, and boom. Am I right?
Yeah, I think one of the first real experiences that I remember with the varsity football was because I was fortunate enough to suit up for one of the games my freshman year, and I didn't get to play, but I got to be in the locker room. And coming back in the locker room at halftime is one of the coolest and craziest deals I've ever seen, because all the coaches meet and all the players meet and they're talking, and then once we all come together, the offense breaks off and the defense breaks off, and then it's just all in-game adjustments and what are you seeing, how do you feel, what do you think will work if they do this, if they do that, if we do this, if we do that. And seeing that freshman year, now kind of sitting back and watching Cormac Sampson and Jack Kern and Tyler Nichols try to work through stuff, and now I get to be in their shoes and trying to work through stuff too. It's just a cool deal. And when we have coaches that understand and know that if the players need adjustments, that if they know that the players can communicate what needs to be done, and that's the best way that they can carry it out, I think that's a huge deal.
Yeah, it's a military concept, believe it or not. I mean, if you have your generals or your colonels and people that are at that higher level, and they listen to what's on the ground. Yeah. Okay. And then they make their adjustment to their battle plan. Well, that's the same thing that I do. You guys are a plethora of information. And, it's like in the classroom even, what aren't you guys getting? Yeah. Oh, you're not getting it because, okay, cool, then I'll just readjust. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And sometimes it takes the adult to readjust, a coach to readjust. And that's, some people say, well, you can always listen to kids. I will, because they're in the game, and he just got smucked because I put him in a position that was compromising. Mm-hmm. And now I'll change that. We had some great adjustments. Oh, my gosh. I saw my colleagues, and being in the Big Rivers, you said that. Yeah. And the head coaches would walk off, and they'd have this big old grin like they just got away with eating a canary. Yeah. They just got away. Whew. And I saw them laugh, smiling. Oh, my gosh. You just see the demeanor. I go, oh, my gosh, we were that close. Yeah. River Falls we had down. Superior, we were right there. We had them. Yeah. Menominee, 31 yards. First half. When does that happen? Yeah, that was and knowing crazy. Like you brought up Coach Labuda, he has his big six and he does his things. Yeah. And that's what they'll do. And they're gonna beat you on the things that they do well. Feature habit again, right? Mm-hmm. And Rice Lake was a tough game, but we knew we could get that one. North, I feel bad for those kids sometimes because they haven't won a game in a long time. Not that I want them to beat us, but Chippewa was a battle. Yeah. They had big guys, and they run that child abuse offense I call, right?
Yeah.
The double wing.
In the phone booth, football in a phone booth.
Yes, and we brought some nice things, 7-man fronts, some old school stuff. Like 7 diamond goes back to the 60s and 50s. And I brought it in, and we have cool names for them,
Yeah.
And we do a lot. We learn Spanish. So being Hispanic is like we go caballo, chiva, goat, and horse, and so, and a lot of our call signals this year are going to be in Spanish, so that the opponent can't get fixated on one number or color. Now what are they saying?
Yeah.
So
that's funny.
Yeah, we have a good time. I've had a good time with the boys. It's great to be back at Memorial. I'm just glad that you guys have accepted me there, knowing that I came.
Oh yeah.
Came from Menominee. It's like I don't like to, as a coach, place a lot of emphasis on teams that have been historically the nemesis, right?
Mm-hmm.
Menominee's been the nemesis on a lot of people's sides, and everybody that beats them thinks it's their Super Bowl, and they don't do anything after that. Actually, they put all their marbles into that. I don't want. You got to play the games to get to them.
Yeah.
And gosh, look at Piper.
They're usually like one of the last regular season games too.
If Jack Piper would have caught that interception aside, you guys were in the field of play, we would have won that game. I know it. He just didn't get it. You see it on film.
I remember that.
Oh my gosh! And it's like I was right there, and it's like, nothing against him. I'm not blaming. It's just like
and there's all their plays.
There's opportunities there that in a game, in a big game, that if you don't pick it off, or a fumble on the ground and they get it, not us.
Yeah.
Or we just miss the quarterback as he throws that ball, and right. So we clean up some of that. Yeah. And now we're 1 year more cognitively involved. We understand the playbook. Yeah. You understand my expectations. Mm-hmm. I'm looking forward to it, actually. So in the spring.
Yeah. In the spring, hopefully.
What was your what is the flavor out there of the boys? What do they think about?
I would say right now, I think everybody's just excited because we did graduate a lot. We graduated a lot of key role seniors that, on the offense too and on the defense. But that kind of glimpse that we had in Appleton North, where we had all of our linebackers were juniors. Sam Torno, that was like his first start. Tom had been playing for a while, and we've talked about it before. But I think everybody's just ready to go in and finally do something. A lot of these guys have kind of been on JV playing their roles, or last year doing their special team roles. And I think guys are realizing that they've had enough time now with COVID and everything that if they can get out and finally make an impact their senior year, that's what they want to do. And I think we have something like 22 or 23 seniors this year, and that's a great number to have. And we'll also have some underclassmen that have been working really hard that could be really good role players for us too. So, and then now the weight that's going to happen, and we didn't have contact days, and we couldn't be in the weight room at all this summer, and we've kind of been separated, trying to connect, via Zoom and all Zoom calls and stuff. But once we finally get there, I think people will realize that they can cherish this moment, and because Coach Sins has talked about it too, where to try to change the mindset from you get to go to practice versus you got to go to practice, and having that get to, I think that'll change for a lot of guys that wouldn't have if COVID wouldn't have happened, especially.
And we get this time to work too, and you're kind of working with me on, as speed and agility and quickness, which is something new to you guys, different way of approaching it. I'm using sand. Volleyball, we did that for the first time, and I thought you guys did a really good job. We got to get better, obviously. Mm-hmm. You always got to think, whether you think at the top of your game, the best of the best always need to get better, because they could just get knocked off real quick, or one injury away. So everybody's got to keep getting better, and we'll have time to do that. Yeah. Now that I know that Wagner's is going to allow us to use that their sand pit there, I thought we look good, and all this stuff is coming from where I grew up in California. They're all on the beach. Pros, high school, so they're all there working on the beach, and now we have a sand pit, and I thought it was kind of cool. You still work. Yeah, it's different. Your legs any better or any sore than normal? Or?
No, I thought it was actually better compared to grass where I wasn't as sore because we were just in our socks and everything, and I think it's less impact on the sand, in my opinion. Maybe it isn't, but
yeah, it is.
I didn't feel it as much. I did take an ice bath after, though. That's
always good.
Yeah,
that's important. I mean, taking care of your body, you only get one.
Yeah,
and being a person that, not like I did a lot of abusive things to my body being a kid and just running around and doing things, playing sports. But as a soldier, we don't have the knee pads like they used to have and all these elbow pads and things we had nothing. So my knees are tweaked. My back is tweaked, but I still ranger through. I hump, and I'm looking forward to it. I think we got a great nucleus of kids. You guys are I know you'd be working hard, and you are working hard under the circumstances. But giving us that more time, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that as well.
All right, Coach Diaz, back from the second break here. We wanted to get your thoughts on what might happen for NBA. Let's start NBA because that starts tomorrow, doesn't it? Thursday or Friday?
Yeah,
I don't even know.
60-day.
Yeah.
Something like
the
that.
bubble, they're calling it.
Yeah,
do you follow the NBA pretty heavily?
Oh, well, the Lakers are my team.
Okay.
They always have been, going back, way back to Jerry West. I mean, I'm dating myself.
Dang.
And Shaq and Kobe, God bless them. And all the great teams they've had way back then. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar when he played for them, Will Chamberlain. So, yeah, I like basketball during the playoffs, to be honest with you. Sometimes I'll watch a big game on a Sunday, that's going on. But I'm glad they're coming back. Yeah. I hope that the players have discipline and stay out of society because they're the ones that can ruin it.
I don't think they can leave. I think they're just there. And there's a 76ers player, I forget his name, who's actually doing vlogs, and I haven't been able to watch him yet. I don't know if you guys have. But that's actually getting pretty big, and he started with 0 subscribers on YouTube and just started these YouTube vlogs of like the daily life of these NBA guys.
Good.
And it's picked up steam. I think he's up to like 450,000 YouTube subscribers. And but yeah, I think it would be cool and interesting.
Well, think about it. Look at the money that they're making.
Yeah.
If somebody's paying me $20 million or whatever the amount might be.
Yeah.
To play a game that they love, right? And say, okay, but you have to stay in the complex and you cannot go anywhere else, and you're going to be away from your family and things, I would say yes. Yeah. Because you're playing the game that you love. You're getting an absurd amount of money.
Yeah.
So let's be disciplined, guys. This is for the betterment of the country.
Yeah.
Not so much the betterment of basketball. We need sports. That's what we are. Any kind of sport, whether it's skiing, whether it's diving, anything. I mean, people have those niches that they're involved in, right? They love them. They've played it. Yeah. And I hope that they're disciplined. I worry about, like in football, what's going to happen there. Yeah. There's a lot of things. But basketball, I'm glad it's coming back. Yeah. I'll be watching it.
Yeah. So
normally I wouldn't be watching during the normal season, like a lot of games, but
it'll be quick too, because I think it's like a pool play type of deal, and then it's playoffs right away. Yeah. So it's going to be a quick turnaround for those guys too, and quick turnaround for baseball with 60 games. I mean, every game is going to count for these guys. So
I'm excited the baseball's coming back. I mean, that's that. My father-in-law is 80 years old. He lives in a house that when I add on to our house that we built for him, so he didn't have to go to a nursing home or anything like that. Yeah. It's just a living. We wanted him near us, but he loves baseball. He's a Brewer fan. That's what he watches, right? Now that's coming back. I hope that they do the right thing. Stay in the complex. Don't leave. Yeah. Don't subject your teammates. Again, getting back to being selfish. Yeah. We already know the millennials can be that way, right? I mean, that's just that's the nature of the beast. As a teenager and as a young adult, I was selfish as all heck. We got to get disciplined. We got to say, okay, what's more important? Right now, sports for the world, period, I think is important. Even if they have those fake people out there in the stands. You see those? I want one of those.
Little cardboard cutouts.
So basketball coming back, baseball coming back, and then we're at the precipice of football. Yeah. Right? Making us possibly coming back. I look at it. I knew that it was going to be a different football season because I'm a premium ticket holder for the Packers.
You are?
I get 20 tickets per game, and sometimes I get 2 games at Premier It's
Oh,
great.
nice.
30-yard line, looking right at him on the Packers sidelines, right?
Nice.
And that's due to my little organization that I run. And when they said, well, we canceled all that, I said, oh, my goodness. That means I don't know, how they're going to do social distancing, how many people.
Yeah.
Probably family and friends.
Yeah.
And then you have the fake roar, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah, it was weird to see I watched the NASCAR race this weekend, and they had fans there. I don't know how many they let in, but not much social distancing going on. They were masked up, but like after the race, they were all on the fence, and it was the first race back where you could really see and hear the fans. And it was cool to see, and like good for the drivers to get after the race, and they can hear applause and whatever. But I didn't think that they approached it with social distancing as much as they should have.
Yeah, there's a lot of people not doing very well because of this virus.
Yeah.
And, congregated, it's unfortunate they congregate like that, and
Yeah.
people don't know. We don't know where we've been.
Yeah.
Right? It could be at the grocery store for that matter, and it jumped on you. That's
Yeah.
what I call it. Jumps on you, and then,
Yeah.
you share it with somebody else. You might not get it, but who knows? It's hard to trace. But at least they're trying to make the comeback. They're doing the best. I don't know, they do the best they can, but it's hard to enforce the mask and stuff. It becomes, are you going to be selfish or not? Whether you believe in it or not, let's just do it because that's what we need to be doing.
Yep.
Okay, science tells us that. Being a Christian myself, I and not to get biblical here, but I believe God put science, allowed the human being to be scientists and all this stuff, so that we could use it in a good way. So you can get into all that that philosophy stuff about that, but we just need to do the right thing so we can get back on track, and there'll be a vaccine soon enough. I'd like to be on a trial, be honest with you.
Really?
Say you can volunteer, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But sports are coming back.
Yeah, they are. Are you a Dodgers fan then too?
I've always been a Dodgers fan. Vin Scully back in the day.
They're stacked this year.
Yes,
they're good.
Yeah, they picked up some good guys.
Yeah.
Didn't they? But it still doesn't get them to win, though.
I know.
You still got to win the 7-game series when you're there, and they've fallen short. I hope they don't pitch their big stud
Kershaw
first.
Yeah.
It's been like a bad omen for them.
Yeah.
Every time he pitches first, he gets whomped, and they don't do well during the series. So I guess the last time, even though they lost, they pitched him later, and he won. So, it's just, call it what it is. The Dodgers have choked when they've been there.
So you're a Packers fan then too?
Oh, my gosh, yes.
Okay. I didn't know if you were like a Chargers fan.
I'm a Ram fan.
Okay.
By heart, but when they went to St. Louis, I didn't follow them as much.
Yeah.
But now they're back in. I'm following them. Yeah. It's right there in Carson, right next to my hometown.
Nice.
Wilmington and Carson, right there. And that's where I first played Pop Warner football. It was at Carson. So yeah, it's kind of cool that it's right there, right? So it's like wow, But yeah, I'm a Packer fan. I do work for them, by the way.
Yeah. What? Could you talk a little bit about that?
Well, every year they have a youth coaching clinic, and I'm a part of their instructional staff, right?
Okay.
Give me $200, I get a check that says Green Bay Packers. It's kind of cool, right?
Yeah.
And so I go there and I either coach in the Hudson Center or I present.
Okay.
This year I presented our 3-3 stack defense, and that was kind of cool. And, so I go there usually and I speak. We go to the atrium and they feed us. Oh my gosh, it's great.
Yeah.
The food that they give you there. So maybe I can get you guys there next year.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
You guys can be the whatever position I coach. You can.
So is it just coaches that are there then, and then you have
youth coaches, and you have the high school coaches from the area all over the state of Wisconsin. A lot of Hall of Famers too come in and they speak.
Okay.
So they get a 50-minute presentation twice. Then we go to the Hudson Center and then we do drills, and it's all for the youth coaches, and it's free.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I've been doing this since 2008. I've been doing this for them, and also my little organization. The Packers sent my organization to the NFL flag national tournaments in Orlando twice.
Nice.
Yeah, all expenses paid.
Nice. That's cool.
We didn't fare as well there because you look at those kids, and my son was saying that, Dad, you see this kid that was on that team? Yeah, he's now in a major college. He's top 5 recruit in the nation, right? It's like, whoa, really?
Yeah.
But they all play 5-on-5 flag.
Okay.
And it's an interesting game. A lot of rules that you have to adjust. It's not like two-handed touch.
Yeah.
But we got to go there, and we stayed in the Disney hotel area, on one of their theme parks area. It was great.
That's cool.
We played on. We got to go to unveil the flag one year. And all of us standing there for hours waiting, and then we go out there, let the flag go, and then they started.
Yeah.
Came this close to all the players. The kids had more fun with that. I'm not I don't go after players like that, right? I feel like maybe because I'm old. I never have.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Really, I just look at a human being as a human being, right? You know, if they're a great ball player, that's a gift that they got.
Yeah.
But the kids loved it. I mean, they got to see all the all-stars right there. And then when we were playing in a game, in our games, right, we'd have these, it's a 3-game tournament, and then you move to the playoffs. The players are out there on the sideline with the kids.
That's cool.
You know, they're just walking around. Then they have all the, you know, all their little obstacle courses and dodgeball and all the things that they do right there in the complex where it's the ESPN complex there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where the guys are at right now. So got to do that, taking a team to Boston of mixed players from Eau Claire and Menominee, and they won a tournament, an NFL flag in Boston of 160 teams.
That's pretty sweet.
And we got these little miniature trophies, rings. We got all this stuff. Like, whoa! It was a great time, though. You know, and I once I retire from high school sports, that's what I'm going to do. Is just, you know, be a part of NFL flag and bring tackle back into our community.
Yeah.
Right now, we had a tackle team last year that played in Minnesota. We were 8-2, so that's pretty good for a bunch of Eau Claire kids.
Like young kids or like a semi? What do you mean? 14
and under.
Okay.
Actually,
like
these were
travel?
12. Excuse me, 7th graders.
Like a travel?
Yeah, they traveled to it's somewhere in Minnesota. There's different places that they go.
Yeah.
Okay, from what's next to Hudson? The city next to Hudson starts.
Somerset?
No, in Minnesota.
I don't know.
I don't know either. I forget it. It lost my mind. But the point is that they go to these different venues.
Woodbury
they played at. They played in Blaine. Different places you guys might have traveled for basketball, maybe that way.
Yeah.
Okay, so they go there and they play every weekend. They were 8-2.
Yeah.
That's pretty good for a bunch of kids that don't have football tackle.
Yeah.
So they got together. They follow Heads Up and they follow USA Football, which I'm a fan of.
Yeah.
We're gonna learn that hawk tackling this year too, to keep the head out. Right. So I'm a trainer in that. I'm certified as one of their coaches and Heads Up.
Yep.
And I teach hawk tackling to kids.
Mm-hmm. I remember my first years of Pop Warner football, you could call it, that down at the Y. 5th grade, I think. Coach Diaz was the one that gave me my helmet and taught us the heads up tackling thing.
Yeah, remember that?
You gave the speech on concussions and stuff like that too. So, yeah, that was my first experience with Coach Diaz. So,
you know, the craziness about all that is that we're gone back to old school tackling.
Head
in
down.
The 80s, head down. In the 80s, it was like it was an emphasis to lead with your head. Okay. In the 70s and 60s, it was all shoulder. Okay. I mean, the head would get in there at times, but for the most part, that's the way they were taught with shoulder tackling. Now we're back to shoulder tackling again.
Yeah.
And now we're doing it with hawk tackling, which is, near hip, near shoulder. Right? So I'm hitting here. If I'm hitting on Grant, I'd be hitting this one to here.
Yeah.
My head's behind him. Still making the play, and then you alligator roll. So it's changed.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad that we've changed because concussion is a big thing, and we've gotten better at it.
Yeah.
Moms are powerful.
Yeah.
When it comes to concussion.
Yeah.
And I also teach at their Parents' Day. I teach a station to teach heads up tackling there, and they have this big thing the Packers put on, and moms and dads go and they learn from their medical staff. Mark Murphy comes out. They always have a coach come out and speak.
Yeah.
And so it's been a great run with that, and I love doing it.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, Coach Sins got to speak this year, got him involved.
I was his videographer for that.
But yeah, good. But see, he did a great job too. I don't really like that, but I did okay. I had my PowerPoint stuff. I'll get better.
Anything else you want to talk about, or?
No, I just excited to be here with you guys.
Yeah.
Share a little bit of what I'm all about. I'm glad to be at Memorial. Finally back at the school. I've been around some. In 2014, I believe it is, when they had the last conference title.
I don't even know.
Yeah, I was on that staff.
At Memorial?
Yeah. So, I don't know. There's something
Coaching defense or what?
I was on the offensive end, I believe.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, yeah, there in Menominee, there was like 3 titles there. Chippewa 1. Regis, it was 4. Thorpe, we were in the playoffs. A lot of playoff appearances. I've been a lot of teams. So there's a lot of success. I want to bring that to you guys.
Yeah.
What my experience there, not just from one team, but from a host of teams.
Yeah.
Some people in Wisconsin hold that, kind of look at you like, well, you've been all over the place.
Yeah.
I go, well, because I like learning. I like,
Yeah.
sometimes just the way things happen in life. It doesn't mean that I just jump up and leave and quit.
Yeah.
Sometimes things change, and I had to, coming to Memorial was a change because it was hard for me to drive every day.
Yeah.
And then I'd see you guys on campus, players from Memorial, and you're purple, and I couldn't wear the maroon at the time because I'm, that's taboo, right? But now I get to wear my stuff, my in-school stuff, and there's a lot to be said about that. It's all about your school colors. I believe in that.
Yeah.
I believe that you represent your family, your school name, your colors, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And when you do that, it's like me wearing my black beret and my stripes, my E5 stripes. Those things are important.
Yeah.
We need to get back to that. Building character calls for you to adhere to a set of rules and groups and mores that keep you on the track, and I think that's important. And I like being there because on Fridays we can just get ready to go, and we're all pumped and we're seeing each other. So it hasn't been that way in a lot of my career, other than when I was a head coach. But teaching, this is good. I'm excited.
Yeah, thank you for coming on to the podcast today. I'm so glad we finally made it happen, and just a big thank you to Coach Diaz again for coming on and sharing some of those cool stories.
You bet.